All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Not a Sheep podcast. My name is Narwhal. I'm here with Matt.
What's up?
You didn't win your challenge.
I did not.
But you got top 10 again.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know, dude. How did you feel? Like, were you crushed?
I mean, I definitely was a little bummed just because I was like, I don't know. I was really hoping I had a chance, but I'm still really happy with how it turned out. And I've gotten a lot of really good feedback. And honestly, the two people that won were like super dope. So I'm not like, oh, mine was better or anything like that. I don't feel any sort of like envy, but I don't know. It was just really cool because I've gotten a lot of like new fans out of it, and got to talk to Futuristic just a little bit over like the DMs, and it was cool to like hear from him about like the challenge.
What did he say?
Well, he just said that like I said like thank you for the opportunity and like doing all these challenges and helping me get my name out there, and he's like, yeah, no problem, like your verse was super dope, like hopefully we're gonna do something in the future, so like who knows what's gonna happen.
Let's go. That'd be sick. Yeah, man. You know, you killed it, and I think that like it's so tough because at the top 10 it's like 5 or 6 of those all could have won.
You could make an argument for like why a certain one's better. It's all opinion at that point.
Yeah, so that's what's tough about it. But yeah, you killed it. And we got some messages from people who said like they went and liked and commented on it. So thank you guys.
I will say this, shout out to your Peakton Middle School fans, because I had so many comments that were like, I'm voting for Matt, like was sent over from Peakton Middle School, like in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we put it on the story, and we just were like, we have this thing with our fans over on Peakton Middle School, which is our other podcast. And we have this thing where like, we just are like very bossy with them.
Yeah.
But it's like an ongoing joke where it's like, we tell them to do something and we don't say please, we don't say thank you. We're just like, you guys are gonna go do this.
It works better.
And for whatever reason, they just mob together and
they're
go
like,
do
oh
it.
Crap, if I don't, like, what if they stop putting out the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, we just threatened to stop releasing content. But yeah, man, so the contest is over, but creatively, you seem like you're on a roll right now.
Dude, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like after doing the challenge, I feel like it kind of put me in the right zone, like creatively, because like over the last few months, like from the stuff I've been sending you, like I haven't really been too heavy on like rap stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when I did the first Futuristic challenge, that was kind of like a little difficult because it hadn't really been on my mind to like really trying to make a song where I'm like trying to out rap everyone.
Yeah.
But that kind of helped me get back into things a little bit, and then with the second one I felt more ready, and like I was experimenting with different vocal stuff, and that I just feel like I've like unlocked new different like ways of creating, and I don't know, I feel like I'm in a really good spot right now.
In what sense? Like, what do you feel like you've unlocked?
Well, just different, like I've been experimenting with different like vocal techniques that I've tried in the past that just like haven't worked, but like now I just feel like I've developed myself enough as an artist to where I can like actually pull off some stuff.
When you or try and implement a new technique, whether it's something in the producing side or something with your vocals,
mm-hmm.
are these like technical music terms that are like defined where you actually know like, all right, this technique that Travis Scott uses in this song is called this sort of technique, and then other artists use this other technique called this? Or is it kind of just like trial and error, just playing around with things?
I mean, both. With the stuff I'm referring to, there's not really like a name for it, but like you could say stuff like, oh, I'm singing in like falsetto, and like there's different terms for like ways you can sing.
Yeah.
But like the stuff I was referring to and like some of the unreleased music I have is just like, it sounds dumb, but just like yelling differently or like delivering vocals in different ways, just doing different like pitch stuff with your voice. And that's where I think I've like developed the most versus some of my stuff. Like I made this song the other day that I sent you, and then right after I was playing it, I went back to some of my old music from like a year ago that at the time I was like, wow, this is the best song I've ever made. It's going to be a while before I make something better than this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like night and day different.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're at, not to try and like say like, oh, you're so young, but like in the span of your life, you're 19, so it's like the sound that you want to have as an artist is probably still going to change even from now to when you're like 25.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, and I feel like with any artist, even if you make a good song when you're 19, it's gonna inevitably be different than the sound you have later.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of cool that you're in that phase of like realizing what you like and what you can do and what you can't do and stuff like that.
For sure.
I was surprised when the other night you texted. Well, first of all, a couple things. One, I saw a tweet this morning. I don't think you sent it to me. Maybe you did. Someone sent it to me, and it was like, it was a screenshot of a tweet, and it was like, oh, like you don't have to make good songs at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Or was that you?
I did send it to you.
Okay, so it was a tweet of this.
And I sent it to you at 3 a.m.
Yeah, so it was an artist basically saying like, I don't know why there's this idea that like artists are the most creative in the middle of the night. Like you can make a good song at noon.
Right.
But then he tweeted it, and it says like tweeted at, and it was like 4:14 a.m. or something. And it's just funny because I feel like the vibe I've got from you as an artist is like you late at night seem to get in these zones, and then you just can't stop until it's done.
Well, here's what my thing. I don't think it's the night, but so like where I live with my family, and it's like during the day there's just like always someone in the kitchen or always someone in the living room like walking around, and it's not a very big house, so there's just constant stuff going on. You can hear conversations. And so like creatively when I'm like recording and trying to write, I kind of prefer there to be like no one around, like complete silence other than the music, and because then I can just only focus on one thing, and that's when I'm the most productive. So like recently I've just been staying up late and getting stuff done at night, and it's worked. So I'm just kind of sticking with it. Yeah. And hopefully, because I don't have anything going on in the mornings usually. So just record when I can. No,
it was just so funny to me because like, I don't know, there's times when you'll send me a Snapchat at like, I don't know, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. maybe. And you're like, it's like, oh, working on a beat or like working on this new song. And then I wake up at like 7 a.m. to another snap from you at like 5 a.m. You're still awake, like working on the same beat. I'm like, wow, he had a long night.
Yeah, I mean, that used to not work for me like at all, but like recently it just changed for some reason.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. When you get in that zone, it's just you can't stop. And any artist can relate. Once you get in a certain zone, if you stop, a lot of that magic is gone forever.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. It's like if I'm writing something and I don't lay down the vocals right away, I'll probably forget like how I wrote it, like how I'm supposed to deliver it. So when I write, I try to do it in the same day. And I used to like write, lay down a demo and then come back to it. But then when I come back to it,
wait, what is that? So like you'd write and then do like a rough draft
like I would try to like lay it down, but like if I'm tripping over a few words, I just kind of like let it be and then come back to it and try to improve it. But whenever I do that, it's just not the same. And so like recently, if I start an idea and I like it, I'm just not gonna go like do anything else until it's finished. But
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I have to say, I don't know when this song that Matt has finished will be released, but it's a banger, and he sent it to me, and I am excited for you guys to hear it. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Other than that, what have you been listening to the last couple weeks?
Okay, over the last few weeks, a lot of Devon Terrell, because I think he's getting ready to drop a new project, so I'm excited for that. Also, just been getting back into like guys like JID, Joyner Lucas, and J. Cole. And that's kind of it, really. Besides like some of the new music, I've just been listening to a little bit, but yeah.
Like what new stuff?
Like just whatever comes out on like the Fridays, whatever singles, but yeah.
Yeah. How come Devon Terrell? What made you get back into him? Because we've mentioned him like once on one of the early episodes. Mm-hmm. He's kind of in that mix of a rapper and a singer.
Yeah. So because of the Futuristic Challenge, I was like just listening to Futuristic a little bit, and then he has so many songs with him, like I naturally just kind of like gravitated towards Devon's music, and then I've been listening to that more when I'm not in like a heavy rap mood, just to like get some like R&B music. But
cool. I have been listening to Lil Wayne because his No Ceilings mixtape, which a few months ago I went through this phase where I had heard in a podcast someone say that like, you know, Lil Wayne has like the best mixtapes, or like all his mixtapes are fire. And honestly, both of us were like probably too young to listen to those mixtapes when they came out. And so, and like, I'm not as diehard hip hop fan as Matt is. So I'd never heard any of his mixtapes that weren't like his main albums. So a few months ago, I went on YouTube and just listened to like all of them. and No Ceilings is absolutely fire. And so it just got added to Spotify and Apple Music, which I was really excited for. If you guys want to listen to like some old Lil Wayne and like get the vibe of what he was like when he was like probably early mid-20s. I don't know how old was he?
I don't know, because he had his career like started in the late 90s and he was super young, so probably like mid-20s.
Yeah, so I don't know. I love it. I've been listening to that a whole lot.
Dude, but there's a reason a lot of people consider Lil Wayne to be like one of the greatest rappers of all time, but a lot of people just don't, because he's like, he kind of just started the whole like new wave of rap. But yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? So what are you saying? So some people,
like a lot of people put Lil Wayne in their like top 3 rappers of all time, but like for some reason he's just like, a lot of people also don't even consider him in their top like 50.
Yeah.
And because his music is so like different, but
why do you think it's so polarizing?
I don't know, because I think it's, well, to me, Lil Wayne is like, you can see influence, like people that get influenced by him are like Young Thug, but it's like, to me, Young Thug is just Lil Wayne but can't rap as well. Like,
okay,
it's like a similar style, but and I think a lot of older people just don't like the trap like auto-tune sound.
So do you think he's kind of the transition from the old generation of rap to the new generation?
I would say him and Drake, but at the same time he kind of made Drake because he like signed Drake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how long Lil Wayne has been like at the top for a while.
Yeah, him, Drake, and Kid Cudi are definitely like the inspiration for like the current generation.
Yeah. Other than Lil Wayne, I've been listening to Levi Hinson, who we talk about all the time, because he dropped a part 2 of his Bitch I'm Up song.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. We'll actually talk about that later in this episode when we talk about Aquemini. But I don't know. I guess I haven't seen that many artists where they do like a part 2 of the same song.
Yeah, that one's featuring Drew, isn't it? Drew Famous?
Yeah, Drew Famous. Yeah. It's basically just a
I think it's
remix.
like a remix, but yeah.
It's just
cooler
cool.
title.
Yeah. I've been listening to some Corday, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Cal Scrooby, one of my favorite artists ever, dropped another single called I Told You. Really good. Definitely go check it out. But yeah, do you want to hop in to talk about Aquemini?
Yeah, I'm down. So was it 2 weeks ago? We said we were going to review and do a little throwback album for Aquemini, which is by a lot of people considered to be like a top 3 rap album of all time, like certified classic. Yeah.
What would you say are the other 2? If this is one of the 3, what are the other 2 that people would say?
I didn't mean any 3 in particular. Yeah, no, it's just like constantly up there, but like I'd say Illmatic is also another one that's constantly up there. And then maybe like, I don't know, got to be something from like Biggie or Tupac, like Me Against the World, maybe. I don't know, but Life After Death, but yeah.
So yeah, Matt, you've listened to it quite a bit in the past.
Yeah, I mean, not a ton. I haven't dove too deep into Divin.
I don't know is it dove?
I don't know, dove. Whatever it is. Dove sounds right, but too deep into like Outkast's like catalog. I think I've definitely listened through all their albums like at least once, but like only a few I've like actually heard enough to be able to talk about. But like Aquemini is, I think is their, of like the hip hop fans, it's like their most talked about album. But like they have so many like albums that have just done so well and like changed music.
That's what I didn't really realize until when I was doing a little bit of research and I was going through not only Aquemini but their other albums, and it's crazy how many, just like, I'm not even the biggest old school hip hop fan,
but their music like transcends like hip hop.
Yeah, it's crazy how many songs they have that like anyone would know.
Yeah,
even if it's someone who doesn't like hip hop, you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that like 1,000 times.
Like I didn't know when I was young like Hey Yeah is André 3000.
Yeah. Yeah, it just is crazy how big they really are. Something that, this is not directly related to Outkast or Aquemini, but something that I want to talk about that is just kind of interesting before we dive too deep in is that I feel like in the hip hop culture, I don't know, there's this weird like hierarchy of fans, I feel like, where if you are really, really knowledgeable and into the newer generation of hip hop, and I'm not talking like, Lil Pump and those, but like lyrical, just any newer generation, like J. Cole, Kendrick, whatever. those type of guys. If you're really into anyone who's like newer, but you don't really have that history.
You don't know the history.
Yeah, if you don't know the history, you like aren't qualified in a way. Whereas like if you like all the old guys like Outkast and like Tupac and Biggie, but you don't listen a whole lot of the new stuff, you get like a pass. It's like you're like a true fan. But like to me, how can you claim that you're like a superior fan of hip hop if you only listen, regardless of what era, if you only listen to like the 90s or the 80s hip hop and you don't listen to any new stuff? I don't know. I just, because I've always kind of felt like as a fan of music, but never like as a diehard hip hop fan, I always felt like I was like not worthy because I didn't listen to like the older stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm trying to say is right now, the current time, there is more good music being put out into the world than ever before.
I agree, because there's more music being put out.
Yeah.
And it's like there's going to be more crappy music, but there's going to be more great music.
Exactly. Yeah. And so there's always there's this mindset that like, oh, the older music was better. And I think a lot of times it's like blinded by nostalgia. Not saying that some of these old albums aren't classics, because they are, but I don't know. I wish there wasn't the stigma that like if you're talking to someone and they're like, oh, if it's some like 16-year-old kid who likes hip hop and he's never listened to any Tupac or Outkast, you can't really blame him.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Like
I agree. And I've also been on the other end to where like this is a way smaller difference. But like, for example, one of my buddies who's like a few years younger than me was like, oh yeah, J. Cole is my favorite rapper right now. I'm like, oh, that's dope. This is around like middle child.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's super cool. Like, what's your like favorite album by him? And he's like, oh, KOD. I'm like, that's cool. And then he's like, yeah. I was like, what other songs by him do you like? And he starts only listing like newer songs. And I'm like, okay, like, what's your favorite mixtape by him? And he's like, what's a mixtape? And I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, what? But now I'm starting to understand that that's because that was big when I was getting into hip hop. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, how do you not like 2014 Forest Hills Drive? Like, that's because that's when I was getting into it. Same difference with like someone who's older being like, people just think the best whatever is their favorite.
Yeah,
that's
think
not how it
like,
works.
Yeah, and it's like you have this whatever you grew up loving is what you will probably love for the rest of your life, and so you think that it's like the best or superior. And I don't know. I do think there is value and importance in like for people like us, if we're gonna be talking about music, we should try to be educated, but at the same time, if I'm never claiming to be some like hip hop connoisseur, I don't think that like, I just think it's dumb when people get shit on because it's like, oh, you haven't listened to every single Tupac album and know like every single lyric word for word. It's like,
you don't listen to MF Doom?
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. But with that being said, I'm excited to talk about Aquemini because I was a little skeptical that I would enjoy it just because like I said, I'm not a huge old school hip hop fan.
Yeah, it's not familiar.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it, but overall, I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's really damn good.
It's dope. I wanted to say this, though. Not the first song, because there's an intro, but the first, like, actual song, Return of the Gangsta. Dude, when André comes in for the first time, I just love how his flow is just like, it's so like all over the place. I don't know if you noticed it, but it sounds like he's just like talking. Yeah. He's like, and then I'm going to go, and then I'm going to get back, and then I'm going to, you're like, what?
No, but that's what, like.
No one was doing that.
Yeah, and it's just, I didn't realize how insanely talented Andre 3000 was until I listened through the album, and then I watched some like breakdown videos.
Yeah.
And when you actually see someone like a actual linguist break down his rhyme scheme and the technicalities, it's crazy how much of a beast he was.
Right. The only person like nowadays that I think, besides like Eminem, but Eminem, he's an older rapper. Like the only younger person that can even compare to like anything like that makes good music is Kendrick. Mm-hmm. Like we were gonna talk about how on the song Aquemini, his final verse at the end, he literally used the same rhyme scheme multiple times per line throughout the entire verse, and it doesn't get boring.
Yeah, like I think out of the whole album, if you listen to one song, you got to listen to Aquemini.
The song, yeah.
The song Aquemini. And from my research, that verse in particular is like debatably the most iconic verse in all of hip hop.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like technically wise, like it's considered one of the greatest verses of all time. And I don't know, like the reason I brought up Kendrick is because he has his verse on like the Black Hippie remix, where he does like kind of the same thing. He's got this like crazy rhyme scheme that's the same thing throughout the whole verse, but it's like other guys do stuff like that, but it just doesn't sound good. Like it doesn't make good music. But like that's the thing, you have to have the technical side and you have to also make music people like.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what that it factor is, where like what is it that gives someone like Andre 3000 or Kendrick the ability to do something so different and sound so good? Is it just like an unteachable trait that they just get it, or is it something where like you could teach that to another like rapper and they could maybe like master it?
I mean, I think it's both. I think the thing with like Eminem recently is like, I don't think if you're looking at Eminem's career and you break down like his lyrics, he's gotten better and better throughout his career. Like even now, like you could argue his last few albums are like the best rapping he's ever done, but there's a reason people are like hating on him, and it's not like relating to people as well. It's like he is rapping better, but people are just not feeling it as much.
Yeah, they're not connecting with what he has to say.
Yeah.
The thing that stood out to me, I guess, so last episode when we had Timothy Salzar on, we were talking about how some artists are like documentarians, where what they're rapping about is very straightforward, very literal. Not just rappers, any music artists, and others are much more metaphorical and like philosophical, and maybe you have to listen to it 5 or 6 times to even remotely get what they're saying.
Yeah. And
I just didn't realize how deep Outkast's lyrics can get.
And their storytelling,
yeah, their storytelling is just crazy, because there's still a lot of the songs that I don't really know what a lot of the lines mean.
Yeah.
But just watching a few videos where people break them down, it just blows my mind how many layers there are to this stuff.
Right, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, dude. That's like another thing we're going to talk about on, I think it's The Art of Storytelling 2, the second one on the album. Yeah. That's the one where they used the same sample, or J. Cole used the same sample, and that's like I talked about it a few.
Part 1.
Oh, it is part 1, yeah.
For Land of the Snakes.
Yeah, on Land of the Snakes. And I just remember, because when I listened to Aquemini a couple weeks ago, I was just like, wait, what? Like, this is where it came from? And I was like, it's just that weird full circle thing.
Well, yeah, that's why I do understand the people who say you have to educate yourself with the old school stuff.
Right.
Like, that's a prime example, because I had never listened through any of Outkast's music. And so when I listened through this, it was like a mind-blowing revelation where I was like, oh my God, it was on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, oh my God, that's the beat from one of the J. Cole songs.
Right, yeah.
But it's like, no, it's not the beat from the J. Cole song. J. Cole's song was the beat from The Art of Storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you connect all these dots, and then it makes you appreciate it a lot more.
Right. I remember when I was like 13 or 14, one of my favorite rappers, John Gibbs, like had an album. He dropped it, and there's a song called The Art of Storytelling Part 5. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I wonder,
where's
it's
the
a
other
good
4?
song. I'm like, where's the other 4? And then I like went back into his catalog, couldn't find it. I'm like, this is so weird. And then I found out later, I'm like, oh, it was like his take on like the Outkast songs.
But why was it Part 5?
There's a Part 3 and 4, I think, on another album. Yeah.
See, the more you know. Exactly. Got to do more research.
And yeah, that's like, when I was younger, I would listen to Logic, and I remember on what song is it? Roll Call from his mixtape. That's the Miss Jackson beat.
Yeah.
And it's like when I heard Miss Jackson, I was like, oh, this is the Logic beat, and I'm like, it's funny, but that's why it's important for the newer artists to do stuff like that, because it makes you go back.
Yeah. That's very true.
Also, like the Forbidden Fruit, the J. Cole and Kendrick song, like that's taking the same sample as Electric Relaxation from A Tribe Called Quest, which is like another one of the most famous rap songs of all time.
Yeah, man. There's a whole lot of layers to be uncovered in hip hop.
Yeah, I love finding like samples and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is it really hard to get to do that, to make a song with a sample from someone else's song?
Like, get it cleared?
Yeah. Or
I mean,
like it probably is super expensive, right?
So in those scenarios, I don't think it's like what usually happens is they're taking like an old, say like 70s like soul sample or something like that. And I don't know for sure, but what I'm assuming happened for like Outkast is like they just had a 70s like soul sample or whatever year it was, and then did the record, and then J. Cole went back and sampled the same thing. He didn't sample like Outkast.
Oh.
So he's not like paying or getting it cleared from Outkast. He's getting it cleared from whoever owns that song. Yeah.
What if Outkast made their own original
I mean, then he would have to sample them, but yeah.
But does almost everyone, their beats are from samples from somebody?
Like especially back then, yeah.
Okay, so it's like not many people are making a beat with no samples at all in them.
Yeah, that's like back then. Like no one was really making original music, like where they're just starting with nothing. I mean, there were some people, but like. And I know like The Roots is like a band, like they're a hip hop band, so like a lot of their stuff's original. But so Logic has a song called "Can I Kick It," and he sampled "Can I Kick It" by a Tribe Called Quest. And there's this huge story about how Tribe Called Quest took a sample, didn't get it cleared, and then they like put the song out, something like that along those lines.
Okay.
And so they don't own the rights to that song. Like they got like screwed over, and like they don't make any money off that song, and it's like their most famous song. And then Logic wanted to sample it, and by just saying the words "Can I Kick It" on the song, he didn't like actually take any of the song.
Yeah.
And to do it, he had to get it cleared from the people that had that original sample that had nothing to do with the words "Can I Kick It."
Wow.
And so like,
dang, dude,
it's just weird stuff that comes out of it.
Yeah. Dude, the legal side of music is so confusing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't understand it at all.
I saw in a video someone was explaining that this college called Armstrong State, Armstrong State University, they added an English course like studying Outkast.
Yeah, that's so dope.
Which is crazy. Like that's so cool and I think they said something, or the professor said like there's not enough courses
on Southern music,
on Southern hip hop or something. But like if I was taking an English course in college, I'd love to take one about like studying a hip hop artist, like their artistry and their like all the different ins and outs of their like lyrics and everything. That'd be so cool.
I think there's a lot of like hip hop courses people can take, but it's usually the history of hip hop, and then it's just like a general like try to wrap 20-30 years into like one course, and it's like they go over a lot of stuff. But I think they're starting to make more like specific classes like that, which I think would be super cool to take.
Yeah. Well, and just there's probably so much more you could learn from a more specified class like that than if it's just like the history of hip hop. It's so broad.
Yeah.
Whereas like
they would always start with like how it started in New York, but it's like that it would take so long to get from there to Outkast.
Yeah. And if you're someone who's like is an artist or really wanting to learn about like stuff like that, you'd probably take a lot away from a class like that, I would assume. But,
yeah, definitely.
Also, just like not really a fun fact, but just a weird fact is, so their song Rosa Parks, which is why we even started talking about Outkast in the first place a couple weeks ago, is apparently she sued them, which like I was really confused, and I looked it up, and like she filed a lawsuit on like defamation. I think that's how you say that word, but basically because they used her song, and then the chorus is it's hush that fuss, everybody move to the back of the bus.
Yeah.
And so then she sued them, and so I think she sued them the year before she died, and so they ended up like after she died, they ended up settling. And from my understanding, I looked it up. Let me read this. It says, under the settlement, Outkast and Sony Music Entertainment, blah, 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 will help develop educational programs to, quote, enlighten today's youth on the significant role Rosa Parks played in making America a better place for all races. So good came out of that.
True, yeah.
I don't really know why she sued them exactly. I said for, I guess because they just named the song without her permission.
Yeah, and maybe it's to her, it seemed like they were using the whole back of the bus as like a joke and not really taking it serious. But
yeah, so I don't know. It sounds like it panned out for the best, I guess.
Yeah, and speaking of 90s like rap controversy, I just have this funny story I wanted to mention. So I was watching there's like a Compton documentary. I don't know what channel it was on, but my family was watching it the other night.
Like it's new or like some old one?
I think it's new because there was like a bunch of episodes for it. And on one of the episodes, they were talking about NWA and like their impact.
Yeah.
And so there was this funny story about Eazy-E.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is when they're starting to blow up. They're starting to become super famous. And they're like, NWA is like the first like music and like hip hop group to like really have like a huge impact when it comes to like people trying to censor them. Like I could be wrong, but I heard Ice Cube claim that because of NWA, that's why when you watch TV and people swear, they like bleep it out. Like they were the first people to like
really
have that be a thing, and like they were the reason the like parental advisory sticker was invented on like music. But
wow,
basically Bush was the president at the time, the older one, and apparently like he was known to like hate NWA, and like a lot of people in his like that were working for him were like trying to censor them and stuff. And then they were hosting this big like Republican convention. It was called like the Republican Elite Convention or something.
Okay.
Where they're inviting all these successful businessmen to the White House. And they were just looking at like people's net worth and like business and what they do and inviting them.
Okay.
And they were going through names, and they invited Eric Wright, which is Eazy-E, not knowing who it was. And so Eazy-E shows up to the White House.
And he was super rich because of NWA.
Yeah. And it's just funny because to like someone like George Bush, like it in like a 2-year span, maybe less than that, like Eazy-E went from being the number one like biggest drug dealer in Compton to like being invited to the White House by like a Republican president for being like a successful businessman.
When did they make the connection that it was, or did they never even realize that it was
he showed up, like he apparently just accepted right away, because like I don't know, for him he probably was thinking like, this is hilarious. And then there was a quote where he said like, no publicity is bad, or all publicity is good publicity. So like I'm just gonna go. And like it probably like that's the type of stuff that makes someone like a rapper like become like transcend hip hop, and like not in a good way, but now like my parents know who Eazy-E is and stuff. Well,
like it was in a good way, because they changed they changed a lot of society.
Right. Yeah.
Like you've seen like Straight Outta Compton. Right? Yeah. Now I don't know how accurate that movie is, but like for someone like me who like younger, just growing up, I didn't really listen to their music or know what it was all about. So they were
documentarians when it comes to like what they talk about in their music.
So that movie was cool, because I finally realized like, this is what it was all about. Yeah, it was cool. Mm-hmm. I also think they might have been a large reason why there's certain words that you cannot say on television. Yeah, like you can. I don't know, there's some rule where maybe you can have like one certain F-bomb a season or something, but like there are certain words that are like straight out banned from television.
Right. Did you hear the other night after the Rockets game, James Harden said shit and they like didn't bleep it out in time?
Yeah, I know. Is that like, I wonder how big of a deal that is, or what that really impacts if someone does swear.
Well, during the game, they were like, because the crowd noise doesn't really cover up their voices too well in the bubble, and there was like 4 or 5 times when the audio would bleep out or like just cut out for a second or two, and you could tell it was when players were like swearing. Oh yeah. And so they must have just not been prepared when that happened.
Yeah no, it's funny. I don't really, I mean, I guess I get it, because maybe like sponsorships and like the financial side of things, but it's so silly to me that swearing is still such a big deal on TV, when like most people in their day-to-day lives hear swearing. So why does it matter so much if you hear it?
Yeah, why can you like make a movie, not saying this should be censored because it shouldn't, but like you can make a movie and like have someone be fake killed on screen, but you can't say like a word that means poop.
Yeah, dude, it's so weird, bro. I know, man. I don't know. But yeah, so final thoughts on Aquemini?
Really good album. I think everyone knows that, but
yeah, it is. If you guys aren't really into hip hop, I mean, you probably are, because that's what we talk about like 80% of the show, but I would say if you're like not like me and maybe borderline not into older hip hop, I think
Mhm.
this is a really good album because it's like the way you explained it. You're like, there's a lot of newer vibes
Mhm.
in this album that like wasn't really common at the time.
Right. Yeah. And I think especially if you listen to newer music, if you like Kendrick and Earth Gang, like I feel like you'll really like Outkast.
Yeah, well, I love Earth Gang, and you told me like if you like
Mhm.
Earth Gang, you'll probably like Outkast.
Yeah. Same reason if you like J. Cole or if you like Logic or someone, I feel like if you were to go back, you would want to look for like maybe Nas or like A Tribe Called Quest, and you'll see their like influences there.
Yeah. So, who picked this album? Because we should decide on whatever album we're gonna do next right now.
I think you did. But,
I kind of
did
picked.
Illmatic,
I picked,
but it worked for both of us.
Oh, we've done 3 now.
Yeah.
We did the Mike Posner, then we did Illmatic, and then
We did
I picked this
Aquemini.
one. So now you can pick one.
Jeez.
Anything, Matt. It could be from like the 80s. It could be just from like 2 years
I'm
ago.
trying to think. What's one that we? Oh, let's do. Here, hang on. I want to figure out because I want to do one that I know a few songs on. But
Okay.
Wait, no, we should do. So we should do Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
We're going really deep into hip hop.
I guess so.
And there's going to be some
listened to
stuff
this.
that you're going to be like, what? Like the J. Cole thing on Aquemini.
Okay.
So like, I think you'll, I'm not going to tell you about it because I want you to like notice it for yourself. But we'll do Midnight Marauders.
Okay.
In 2 weeks.
I've never. Yeah. So in 2 weeks from now, next week, we should be having
A really dope band.
really dope band on the show. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But I've honestly never even heard of Midnight Marauder. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
So moving on here. I mentioned earlier I've been listening to Corday.
Oh, yeah.
He's no longer YBN Corday.
Yeah.
He's just Corday.
Mm-hmm.
YBN's like a group, like a label.
Yeah,
right?
I think there was some like beef stuff between the other two, between
Okay.
Almighty J and Namir.
Oh yeah. See, the thing is with these groups like the ASAP and like
Yeah.
YBN, it's like I don't know. Does it like what's the point? Because
Nowadays, yeah.
nowadays Corday, like people already knew him as Corday.
Well,
and,
I don't know though. People have always referred to him as Corday,
yeah.
but to be fair, YBN is the reason he had his big outbreak out of
Really?
nowhere. Because like he was on Tundra before, and he was like literally dropping songs with Adrian Stresso. Like he was that level, and like all of the sudden he was dropping Kung Fu, and he had his like freestyle on LA Leakers. Like I think he got his like the first thing that started to take off was his My Name Is.
Okay.
Because that's when he changed his name.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, what Matt was saying is his name was
Entendre.
Entendre, and you can still look him up on Entendre on Spotify and stuff, and you can go listen to his older music. So you're saying like he got signed to YBN, and then because of that, like they just helped him blow up.
Because Namir was like super big at the time, and so like it was like, oh, they signed someone new, and then to me the thing I heard most people talking about was, wait, like YBN has a new artist that's like a good rapper, and so it was like that was just like he's the one that's gonna bridge the gap between like the new and old generation, which he kind of has done, but that's why I think people gravitated towards him.
I almost feel like he's like bigger than YBN now.
100%. It didn't take long for him to get bigger than them.
Yeah, because like YBN, like if you're into hip hop, you've heard of it, but for me at least, I don't really know. Like I've heard the other artist names, but I don't really listen to them.
Yeah.
And Corday was just like a lot bigger than any of them, so I think it makes sense.
Dude, his first album got nominated for Best Album of the Year at the Grammys. Like, that doesn't happen.
Imagine never dropping an album and then you get nominated.
Well, he has his mixtapes and Entendre, but like his actual first album got nominated for a Grammy. And almost, to be fair, it is known as 2019 is known as one of the worst album years for hip hop, but still, that's not an easy feat.
Yeah. Who do you feel like of the younger generation of hip hop artists? So let's cut it off at like.
Are we going age-wise or?
Yeah, age-wise. So let's say like younger than J. Cole. So
okay. Well, J. Cole's 35. He's pretty old.
I'm trying to think of
30. Okay.
Who's like
Before I say this, my two favorite younger artists aren't young. They're like kind of older, but they are super new in their career. Like JID and Joyner, I'm pretty sure are both in their 30s.
Okay.
And they're super early in their career.
Yeah. But just for the sake of the question, let's cut it off at like 25.
Okay.
So 25 or younger, who do you think currently will go down in like 15 years from now as artists that stuck around and are like respected and like really influential in hip hop?
Well, you know who are the two that I am curious to see if they'll be able to, because I at first didn't think so, but a lot of people have been saying otherwise. Like DaBaby and Roddy Ricch are like the two that I feel like just like became so big so quick that like they were like the two biggest artists of the year almost.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how, because their lane is just, if you look at historically, their lane of music they're in, those type of artists don't really stick around too long. Like,
meaning what? What is their lane if you had to?
Especially Roddy, just like, I don't know.
Like more
trap? If you look at how their career was, it was like, oh, a big hit. Like, it's harder for an artist like that when they have a big hit outbreak to like keep it going. Like, to me, they seemed like a one-hit wonder type of artist, but like now I'm starting to think those are two guys that are going to be around for a while.
Okay. Yeah. How would you differentiate the style of rap that Roddy Ricch and DaBaby, that's like a lot more mainstream rap, versus a futuristic type of much more lyrical, not like radio hit type of, like, what, how would you like verbally describe? Because like when you listen, I can tell a difference between a futuristic, a Cal Scrooby song versus a Roddy Ricch DaBaby song. They're very different, but like I don't make music, so I don't even know the terminology. Like, what is it that's much more like radio about their music? I
don't really know. I mean, it's all about, there's certain things about like song structure that make songs better for radio and stuff like that. And like, I don't really know, to be honest, because like with those two guys, I feel like it's the like unspeakable like it factor for why they're so big.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't think DaBaby would be around for a while is because he just, like everyone says, like didn't show any sort of like ability to like change up his style, and like that's not how you last long in hip hop. And the reason I think someone like JID might not ever be considered like a top 10 artist and might not ever have a big hit, but he's like, I guarantee you he'll be around as one of the better rappers for the next 10-15 years, however long he wants his career to be. Yeah,
that's what's so weird, is that there's very few artists that can like be lyrically as talented as JID, but also have that mainstream factor.
Yeah, him and Corday fit that weird thing, but I even though their music to me is like way different.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of a bummer, because I would agree JID is like next level right now.
Yeah.
He's amazing, but I don't see him ever getting as big as DaBaby.
Same with like Earth Gang. It's like, I think they make some of the best music, and that type of music is so timeless that like it doesn't matter when it comes out, like it'll always be popular. That's why like if you go to the 2000s, like I don't know, if you look at just hip hop in general from the late 80s to now, there has always been like the soulful like boom bap rap, like that style doesn't necessarily have to be boom bap, just like soulful good rap music has always been around, and there's always a trend that's constantly changing. And so when an artist is only able to fit into that trend, it's a sign that they might not be able to stick around.
Yeah.
And so like JID and Corday can do both, which is why I think they'll be able to be around for a while. Like they can fit in the trends and also make really great deep music.
Yeah. But what I was trying to say is, I think it's almost impossible for an artist like JID to ever be as big as DaBaby was last year.
Right. And
that's because it's not as appealing to the people who just casually listen to rap music when it's like when they're with their friends in the car and like someone's playing it. They're not going to connect with JID.
Right. The only person that I think that somehow is able to do that is Kendrick, and I don't know how. I just think it's because he's just that good.
Yeah.
But it's like the fact that he's still considered like like you can't not consider him top 2 right now.
Yeah.
Like it's either him or Drake really. Like J. Cole's just been more active, but I don't think anyone's really arguing otherwise. But yeah.
Do you think that if an artist doesn't write their songs, it takes away from their standing as a overall rap artist?
As a rap artist?
Like if someone is like, oh, so-and-so is top 5 rap artists, but then you find out that they don't write their stuff, does that lower their ranking, or does that not, does being a writer and being a rapper, do you separate those?
To me, which I don't know if everyone agrees with this, but I think if you need to write all of your raps. Like I think that's pretty important. And I know Drake hasn't done that, but I think a lot of the ghostwriting stuff with Drake, besides the Quentin Miller, which is like the big stuff everyone talks about, is like
who's Quentin Miller? I don't know.
He's the guy that got Meek Mill exposed him as like his ghostwriter.
Oh, okay.
And so I think if you want to be considered like the greatest rapper of all time, like that is a pretty big like red flag. But I think a lot of big artists work with writers that help them write the music and write choruses and stuff like that, not necessarily their raps,
not the actual like verse, not the meat of it.
And there's just a lot of people that are like, they pay their writers extra to not credit them and stuff like that because they know that could hurt them. Even though it's like, it's totally fine like, if you bring in like a room of writers to help write these like crazy big like musical songs, and then like there's verses on it, which is just the artist. Yeah,
well, and music is all about collaboration.
Yeah,
and any artist knows that in anything, like not even just music, but any creative field, it's probably going to be better if it's a team versus if it's one person. So
yeah,
the idea that like you have to do it all by yourself is kind of silly.
Yeah, like we've been talking about pretty much every week, is like it's really important to be self-sufficient to be able to make it anywhere. But it's always better to like work with, like, 2 minds are pretty much always better than one, unless one person, like 2 good minds are better than one good mind.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on here, we're going to get into the underground drops of the week.
Yes, sir.
So if you guys are new around here, before we hop into this, you guys should leave a review of our show on the Apple Podcast app. Just search Not a Sheep, rate us 5 stars, write something nice. It'll take you like 20 seconds, and it helps us out a lot. Also, we have full video versions on YouTube, which are way cooler than the Spotify version because we got our whole studio set up. We still got to get more posters in here to fill up the walls.
Yeah, we got to fill in the gaps, but
we got to get some more like non-hip hop because although we talk a lot about hip hop,
that's not the intention.
No, it just happens, and Matt makes hip hop music. But like I listen to a lot of other stuff, and so maybe we got to fill in with like some John Bellion vibes, maybe some, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, the GOAT.
I still haven't really listened to her new album, which I probably should do that.
Same. We were like, we're going to talk about it, and then we don't even listen to it.
Yeah. Nickelback, their album comes out soon, too.
Get some, like, Beyonce, Rihanna.
Yeah, man. For a long time, I thought Beyonce and Rihanna were the same person, and I will fully admit that I did for like 2 years, and that was embarrassing because they're very different.
You got like Umbrella by Rihanna with like Jay-Z, but it's like you associate Beyonce with Jay-Z. Maybe that's
what
why.
I'm saying. Well, and I just felt like at the time when Rihanna was huge, at least when I was listening to Rihanna stuff, Beyonce was also huge, and they were all releasing music, and I just got them all mixed up.
Yeah.
All right. It is what it is. But hopping into our segments here, we have Underground Drop of the Week. So,
yes, sir.
Oh, God, just dropped my phone. I'll start it off. There's a new song that just came out today when we're recording this called Asi Asi.
Asi Asi.
It's Wow Eli and featuring Bocce, or I think it's Bocce, Bachi.
Yep.
A couple weeks ago we talked about Wow Eli. He dropped a song called Bent, and it was super good. I've been listening to him more and more, and
yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I just think this song is sick, so definitely check it out. We'd love to get Eli on the show, so Eli,
hit us up.
Hit us up, dog. But yeah, Matt, what do you got?
So, Jenna Wright actually dropped a new single, "Lose It," featuring Brady James and Jalen Ashawn. And so it's fire. I've known about her for like a little over a year, maybe, just been like following some of her stuff. But like she's got a lot of dope music. It's kind of cool because she's like a good singer, but she works with a lot of like hip hop people, and like she sings well over like trap beats and stuff like that. But,
yeah, well, she raps too, right?
Well, no, she doesn't rap, but she just like kind of fits into the rap world a little bit, you know? Yeah, I think a lot of rappers like want to work with her and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's a beast. Matt linked me her music like a while ago, and we've been following her. She's actually getting like pretty popular, like slow and steady. Where's she from? Chicago?
Michigan, something like that.
Okay, Michigan. But yeah, check it out, guys. Jenna Wright. Matt and I were just listening to it before this episode, and it's actually like a banger.
Dope, yeah.
Added it to my playlist.
Go check it out. Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Did you have fun, Matt?
I did have fun.
I look forward to these because for me, each of these episodes is kind of it's like a class session in music. Yeah. I get to learn, but I also get to talk about stuff, and
I feel like it's like a book club, but for music.
Yeah, dude. And it's funny because you and I, basically anytime we're together, we're talking about music anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to get to like dive in a little deeper than we probably would.
Right.
But yeah, man, I've been having fun. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the show. If you're new around here, you should subscribe on YouTube and go check out last episode, because I think last episode was like the best one yet.
Yeah, that was like my favorite one so far.
Yeah. But hopefully next week we'll have
really dope band.
Should we say?
Yeah, so we'll just send it. So the band's called Not Alone, and they got their album coming out. So if I were you guys, I would go listen to their other 2 singles for the next week and get ready, because they're about to drop one of the craziest alternative rock projects in a long time.
That's a big deal.
That's
a bold statement, Matt.
Bold statement.
Have you listened to it?
No, but I've heard little snippets. But
Okay,
I've been working with the guy that mixed their album. He's a producer, and so he was telling me about it, and he's super excited for it. So
yeah, man, dude, it would be because they already have like. They only have 2 songs, but they have a pretty good following and like 8,000 monthly listeners. And so if they could like like a lot of people, they get sort of big, but then as soon as they drop like the debut album, that's what sends people big time. Mm-hmm. So if this album's good and people connect with it, that could be pretty big for them. So I'm excited.
Shout out to Chase in the band, because he said he listens to the show. So if you're listening,
hell yeah, Chase. All right, well, guys, there's new episodes every single Monday. You can follow me at Hey Narwhal on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We also have another show called Peak to Middle School you can check out. It'll be linked in the description. But yeah, Matt, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at TheMattMog on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well.
Sweet. All right, guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next time.